Good afternoon, everyone. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. My name is Boonmy. It's good to have everybody here. We decided to start 5 on the dot, and I'm sure other people will join in. I see we have Rachel Emmanuel. Hi, Rachel. Good to have you. We have Samuel. Hi, Samuel. Good to have you. Um, Awolaja. Hi, Omolara. Hi, good to have you. Auntie Debbie, hi. Good to have you here too. It's good to have everybody in. I've welcomed every other person. So let's start. Let's start 5 on the dot. And I am very positive that we are starting in an hour. We'll finish in an hour and we'll finish. No African time here. So my name is Oluwabumi Shonde. I'm going to give a brief about why this webinar came into bear. If you know something, a lot of people that know me have been screaming, no, Boonmy, I think you should start doing all those things. So a background about me, I worked in the civil society sector for close to 12 years before I left. And one thing I noticed about in the NGO space that we do a lot of advocacy, we do a lot of things for people that are in need. And it's good. So there's a lot of advocacy in terms of if somebody comes with domestic violence or whatever they're coming in, and we give them the legal aid, we give them the financial aid. But I always realize that after that, what next? I always see that these people always with the fact that we have done what we have to do with them. And so I had a lot of questions going on in my mind. And then I transitioned into changing careers and I went to therapy space. Hold on. I went into therapy and I went into the space. And after a while, I got, working. And what helped me was that COVID really helped me. During COVID, I could sit down with myself and ask, really, what do you want to do? And I realized that there was a lot of need, and COVID just opened up everybody's need. COVID opened up that people truly had to sit with themselves and then begin to ask themselves tough questions. So COVID did a lot of, I'm sorry for those that, they lost loved ones during COVID. A lot of people were thankful that ability to sit down, you know, and really ask ourselves tough questions. And so that's the journey of how to help people. So what I did during COVID was that I kind of had time and I'll just talk to people. Do you know what? I've developed this skill, I worked in this. Can I help you? Because I saw that there was time, a lot of people that that I reached out to them. I have this skill, can I help you? And it was good and also bad. You could start your project with people that are friends and family, and they could be brutal with you and let you know this thing is good, this is bad, this is what I think. So I started up during COVID and I realized that the model of helping people could be, achieved. And so fast forward, I had a lot of clients and I realized that all they just needed was information. Once you give them information like that, they are good to go. So fast forward a month ago, I was on radio, I was invited to Classic FM, and I was speaking about, they told me to speak about emotional health and how to work in it and all that. And a lot of questions and a lot of need. We had it, even though it wasn't a call-in question, people still sent in questions and they genuinely needed answers. And that's what brought about, the webinar, to be able to just share to a broader people. And I realized that radio is 15 minutes. When I do my IG live, is just 15 minutes. I don't have enough time to really explain a thought fully. So webinar gives us the time, it's 60 minutes to really, at least you will leave here with something. You will leave here with a full thing. And so we are starting off, I have a speaker in the house. Her name is Omobolaji. And the reason why I chose her for the first, speaking is that I could trust her process. She's somebody that, I know how she started. I know the genuinity of the fact that she knows what she's going to say. And so Omobolaji has a long journey, I'm sure she would explain herself and just give us a brief about, who she is, what she wants to do, and how she wants to approach here. So, like you said, emotional intelligence, our emotional health is broad. So we want to narrow down today on clarity and personality. We want to just so over bi-monthly, and we will try to talk about so many things. Emotional health is a very broad topic. So I would make sure I single-handedly take each topic and kind of give you nuggets. So you won't leave here, you will leave here with one thing if you don't leave here with everything. And so welcome everyone. I'm seeing the house is full already. Let's get started. Bolaji, hi, how are you doing today? So please, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm glad to be here today, and it's an honor to be picked by Boonmy to come and have this conversation and for us to learn together. I am Omobolaji Ayedomo. I have 3 lovely children, and I'm really passionate about children. I'm passionate about the foundation of one's life. And I'm generally passionate about how you can relate with the world because it is important and it is key for each and every one of us. So, as a creative life and clarity coach, I bring clarity. I take you back to your 10-year-old to know that you can get a hold of your dream again, start all over again, and bring it to reality. I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, trainer, speaker, and also an executive director there and a president's advisory committee at the Maxwell Leadership Training. So I'm here to do, let's just gist, let me put it that way. We're here to just gist and make sure we have an understanding of what we're going to talk about today. Thank you once again. Olufumi, over to you.
So thank you, Bolaji, and thank you for introducing yourself. Let's just go in. One thing about people used to ask is that, okay, what's emotional health? What does it mean? That's the first question. What does it mean? Because I remember that a lot of times in our sector here in Africa and even human beings, people are really they will move back when you say go see a counselor, go see a therapist. We are the last people that people come to see. They really would love to, and I think it's from our African culture whereby we have a lot of people that can intervene into issues and all that. And so therapists are the last people come to see. And by the time they come to meet us, the issue has really gone way beyond and we're trying to, mitigate. So what is emotional well-being? What's emotional well-being? Let's start with that.
Okay. All right. Emotional well-being actually refers to you having the ability to be able to understand, manage, and express your emotions in a constructive and balanced way, which involves you being aware of your feelings, coping with stress, maintaining healthy relationships, and adapting to life's changes. And I would also say that it is often an experience of.
Go on, please. I'll mute you. Yeah, please go on. Blady, please unmute
Can you
yourself.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right then. Yeah, I said emotional well-being refers to the ability to understand and manage and express your emotions in a constructive and balanced way. 2 keywords, constructive and balanced. It is very important. And also, it involves being aware of your feelings, coping with stress, maintaining healthy relationships, and adapting to life's changing challenges. So that basically is the definition I give to emotional well-being.
So, what you said about the fact that it's a combination of all those things, being able to have clarity and being able to abide and, mix it together. One thing I've come to realize a lot of times is that people do really know about emotional well-being, and you see that there's a lot of conversations about emotional well-being. But what I've come to realize, working in this industry for so long is that why is it important? Why do I need to, take a look at myself? I have other things that I can focus on. For instance, I have my academics, I have my career, and I also have, money. I have all those things that I could focus on. Why should I, pause and look and take a look at my emotions and the well-being? Why is it important? Even though I know I know it, but why should I take another step to look at it?
Emotional well-being is very essential in everything. If you have the billions, there are so many things it won't solve if you're not emotionally stable. So the good thing about emotional well-being, it helps you to build the right relationships. It helps you to be able to navigate challenges. It also helps you in making the right decisions. And even when you make the wrong decisions, you will not see it as a failure. You will see it as sort of, or rather, let me use the word failing forward, because you're learning something new from there and learning how best not to do things. So emotional well-being is of great importance, and the foundation can lead to greater resilience. That is one key thing. You being able to bounce back no matter what, no matter the situation you find yourself. So the importance of emotional well-being is so important to each and every one of us, and we need it greatly. It improves our mental health and enhances quality of life. So if you want quality in your life and not just money, sincerely, I think it's a good thing for you to navigate through that process of emotional well-being.
Yeah, that's so important. One thing that I always kind of, to buttress what you said and always explain to people is that the truth is that a lot of the things we do come from the bedrock of our emotions. So let's say you want to get money and you want to get that, the ability for you to have the right perspective to pursue, the ability to have the right mindset are all hidden in your emotions. So a lot of times you can want to pursue something and spend 100%, but if you can narrow down to your emotions and get your emotions well, the speed at which you use to resolve what you need is faster. So let's go on. So one thing that I also wanted to ask is that because today I want us to move into clarity. I want people to live here today and have a clarity about what's going on, and so I want us to go into personality. And I see that a lot of people, really feel that I am angry, and I'm angry person, I'm an anxious person, and that's fine. That's how it goes. And so it's like this is how I was made. Take it or leave it. The people just give you that observation. This is how I'm made. Take it or leave it. And thinking that they can first of all observe them and then find ways to accommodate it. So what do you think about the fact that people just find themselves the way they are and they're not looking for ways to identify themselves and get a better out of what their personality, what their makeup is? How do you approach that?
All right. Before we go deep into the personalities and all that, we need to understand what personality is. Now, looking at personality, you're different from me. You might be fairer than I am. We have different traits in us. We all feel things different ways. We accept things in different ways. And now, personality, for me, it is actually the unique and enduring patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that distinguish you from the other person. How you see things is different from the way I would see things. Now, looking at our well-being, bringing them together, it is your personality that will bring about how you respond to the things that come your way, or how your well-being is being responded to. So you need to have an understanding: who am I? Your attitudes your values, your motivations. What are those things that can help me come out of stress or help me stay in stress or make me stay in stress rather? And how can you curb those things? So having an understanding of personality is key. What you can accept is different from what I can accept. And that's just the way it flows. So personality is a key thing, or is the first thing I will talk about that you should have an understanding. Who am I? Why do I act the way I act? Why am I being related to the way I'm being related to or with? Those are the key things we need to look into. And when we're able to have an understanding of this, there is going to be balance and structure. I talked about two keywords the other time. So there's balance and there's structure. Thank you.
So, thank you for explaining that. So we're going to go a bit further to explain, and bring personality into our conversation now. The different types of people's personality. So for instance, I know you use John Maxwell model. I have the model I use. There was a time I had to do a podcast on observation, and I was explaining to people that one of the ways you can solve your problem is just kind of do an observation about yourself. Who are you? So, and I got a lot of feedback of how do I know who I am? And most of the time is by observation. Just begin to observe yourself, begin to observe what you do about yourself. So I want you to kind of give a definition of what personality is. What you gave is quite definitive, but a lot of people here, I want them to leave with something clear and say, okay, this is who I am. Give them tips of how they can find their personality here today.
DISC assessment is what I will speak about. Now, what is DISC assessment? It is an assessment that would help you know who you are, know what you carry, what is in you. It helps you to know your traits, your feelings. It helps you to know your values. Now, in this DISC assessment, we have 4 different styles, 4 different personality styles. And one thing I want you to know is that all these styles, we all have every one of it embedded in us. But one thing you need to understand is one is more pronounced than the other. One shows its authority more in you than another. For example, let me give a brief definition of DISC assessment. It is a behavioral assessment tool used to understand and categorize individuals' behavioral preferences and communication styles, because in everything you do, communication comes into everything. Is it by communicating with yourself or with the person next to you? And DISC, the acronym stands for dominance. The D is dominance, I is influence, S is steady, and C is conscientiousness. Now, this 4 represents the primary personality traits we have in us. Now, when we go to the D, who is a D-wired person? Who is that person who, just as I'm going through it, you could pick yourself out from this. The first one is the D. Now, the D style tends to be assertive, decisive. The person is decisive. The person is result oriented. This is what I must do. I must do this thing now. I am direct. I am determined. I am result oriented. And also, they patronize achieving goals and overcoming challenges in all things, at the expense of considering others' feelings. That is a D-wired person, a strong leader, someone that is ready to do things at any point in time, not minding your feelings. He's ready to make that decision. Now, the the influencer is typically, an outgoing person, is persuasive, enthusiastic, and also they excel in social situations and enjoy building relationships. Now, a deep wired person is a task-oriented person. An I-wired person is they are people-oriented. They think about the person over the task they are given. They want to be sure of the well-being of the other party. Then they also adapt. They are adept at motivating and inspiring people. They would always want to inspire you. They will always want to bring an understanding to you of whatever you're doing. Now we go to the S. The S is they are stable. They are they explore this steadiness lifestyle. They are always ready. They are patient. They are reliable. This person also has a personality to always think about people over task. They value stability and harmony in their relationships and environments. And also, an S-wired person, they are good listeners. They patronize building trust and fostering teamwork. Then we go to the C. The C-wired person is someone that is detailed-oriented. Is also a task-oriented person. He's analytical and systematic in most of the things, in all the things they do. They value accuracy, and a C-wired person is precise, always precise in whatever they're doing. So it is from all this I have said, if you look into it, you would understand your personality. Who am I? Am I a steady person? Am I someone that trusts people so easily? Am I someone that loves to build relationships? Where can you place yourself? Now, if you have an understanding of these four styles, it takes you a step further to having a good mindset about who you are. If I know for example, for me, I'm a CS. I have the combination of C and S. I'm a gentle person. In as much as I'm people-oriented, I also have something to do with being task-oriented. It's a balance, like I said, our two keywords, balance and constructiveness. So these are key things we need to look into. How will I know who I am? There are different assessments you can do to know your personality. And one thing I will tell you is, if you know that you're not a direct or determined person, you don't make decisions early, don't beat yourself down. All you need to do is to tell yourself you have the trait in you and you will grow it. Now, when I'm working with clients, I don't tell them to beat themselves in anything. The only thing I make sure they do is that they accept who they are and don't leave themselves that way. And that's where growth will come in, being constructive and putting systems and structure in your life so that you can enjoy emotional well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to just talk about personality again. Every time I have clients come in, before I speak to them, I send them a profile, and I kind of want to know what their personality is, what their love language is. And most of them always ask me questions. Why? Is because a lot of times when you come to speak to me, doing clients, because you are always concerned about the issue you have just looking at you. But it's good, somebody has to tell you who you are, let you know what your weakness is, and give you that broad overview. So I'm going to talk about it more. Personality conversations, we can have it mostly in everything we are doing. Everywhere we have social dynamics, everywhere you have to speak to somebody else, you have to work with somebody else, you have to communicate to somebody else. It's always good to know personality of yourself and also of people around you. So let's go to the family now, to the home. Why is personality discovery important between couples? Why does if, like I said, if I want to do anything about couple counseling, even if one of the person is coming, I want to know the personality of the other person, because it will help, bridge that gap. So why is it important that to the personality of ourselves and then of the people that are in meetings? Let's go home, husband and wife, couples. We can even go into children, but let's start with, husband and wife. Why is it important that it's good to go through the discovery of knowing your predominant, like you said, your predominant personality and the personality of your spouse? Why is it important?
The key thing about knowing the personality of the person next to you is so as to build the right relationship, one. Secondly, so as to make sure you're giving them benefit of doubt, whatever experience you have with them or whatever encounter we have with them. Now, I'm with you guys, and if you ask me to talk and I'm whispering, can you hear anything? No. Now, if you move closer to me, you will say, oh, okay, she can't speak. That's where you will have an understanding. I remember one of the coaches around, the way she speaks, I've always wondered why she speaks the way she speaks. But one day when she said her story, it helped me to flow better with her. She told me that they had to, make they had to do a minor surgery for her, despite the fact that they did one while she was younger. Now, I wouldn't have known that. I would have felt what's wrong with why is she talking like that? But I didn't go that route. Instead, I wanted to understand what happened. Now, having or getting to understand and know what exactly is the issue is key. And that's where the importance of DISC assessments come from. It helps me to know you. It helps me to be able to relate with you. It helps me to be able to communicate well with you. It helps you to understand me. Because the key things in life is when you have an understanding. If someone or you're going through stress and you have an understanding of your person, okay, if I'm stressed, this is what happens to me. Okay, I need to guide myself against being stressed. So it is of high importance. Understanding this profile or personality profile, it provides valuable insight on how they communicate, like I earlier said, interact with others, approach tasks, make decisions, and also help individuals adapt their communication and behavior to in a more effective way. So the importance is so wide. The truth is, it helps you in team building, leadership development, personal development. It helps you to do a lot about yourself. And it helps you, above all, to collaborate. If you don't have something, you walk up to someone that has it, because you have an understanding of that person's personality. Oh, this is the value I can get from this person. So the key point there is so much. It's not just one point. It has a lot of values in it. And I hope this will be of good help for you when you have an understanding of who you truly have.
Yeah. Thank you. So let me give an example. There was a time that a couple came in and I had one sex, like I had a female. She was coming in about her husband, and then she was just talking about, because they had marital issues and I was meant to counsel them. And then as she was talking, because she thought everything the guy was doing to her was personal, like, he's doing this to me, he's doing this to me. But like I said, I always have the profiling of the next person. And by the time I started reading her spouse profile, I was like, do you know him? I said, no, I don't know him. I've done his profile and I know who he is. So it takes you off his single-handedly being mean to me, and then make you understand that this is this person's personality. When you understand that dynamics, then you can start having conversations. You are less emotional and take it less personal. So for instance, if you have, and so this particular person, the dynamics in the personality was very wide. The woman was a C personality and she's CS, and her husband is DD, and so he's goal oriented, he's task oriented, and she's people oriented. So there's always going to be a conflict in the house because whatever, her dynamics and the way she looks at things is going to be different from him. And I was like, the beautiful thing about it is that you guys are a full team. You are fighting against yourself rather than working together. So a D
Yeah.
personality needs, so D are very task oriented. But at the end of the day, you need somebody to remind you about people. You need so I always tell people that when you are, couples, it's good to understand the personality of your spouse. It's very important because you don't take things personal anymore. You have an information of how they are behaving and now how they are not behaving. Because I want us to really let people understand that personality development sometimes is not only about you. So let's go back to, there was a time that I had to train office people, right? And this was a big company. And they told me, I sat down, let's do a review about what your issues are. And I was like, what do you guys need this personality? And they were like, why? By the time we finally did the personality, development, they could see that their bosses are not just being mean. Their bosses are really just being them. And then the organization themselves, like an organization, you need to know the personalities of key people. Because no matter what, you want from them, you have to know what can they give, and work around what they can give rather than, trying to push them down. So let's talk about personality again. Now, you said something that was very important about the fact that we Dick's personality. One of the best things is that every human being should have the four and know how, because really we have the four inside us. We are not, you can be D, but you have the capacity to increase your S. You can be I, no, nobody should just be like, this is who I am, then take it or leave it. That's not being responsible. So now tell me, how does a D personality translate and start developing the C, and developing the S and developing the I? How do they go about this whole development?
Okay. Thank you. Now, one thing about these personalities is not just a D, developing with how do you communicate with each other? That's what communication is, where the interception comes in. Now, you as a D, you're given a task-oriented person working with a C that is no, and a S that is people-oriented. You need to understand that, yes, you need to understand that there will be conflict. Why? Because you on your own part as the S, you would ask yourself, oh, why is this person behaving like this? He doesn't understand. He doesn't know how to place these things. And the truth is, when a D has said his word, that is final. He goes with it. Now they need to come to a meeting point. And what is the meeting point? That is what we are looking out for now. What is their meeting point? The meeting point is where the both of them understands, oh, you're a D and I'm an S. And looking at someone that is S, he will look at himself and say, no, but I don't like doing things this way. Now, that is when you need to activate the D that is in you. Look for it. It is in there. That thing to encourage you. Now you need to be steady. Now you need to be steadfast. You don't need to you need to put on a shoe that would make you a determined person and a well-wired, deep person.
Mm-hmm.
A task person. As a CS, communicating with each other. When you have an understanding of your personality, it helps you to know how to communicate. For example, when I see a D, I would say, oh, he's too forward. Why is he behaving like that? Now it's because I don't understand who he is. Now that I know that, oh, there's something called personality assessment. When I get to understand him, I will do something. Oh, okay, it's because that's the aspect of him. Now you come to terms with that, or rather, when you come to terms with that, it helps you, the both of you, to meet and communicate well. When an when an I is saying that, I don't know what to do, I'm just confused, not making up his own mind early enough. AD has already made up his mind. So now it is now left to the I to do something. Make up your mind. There's something you need to do. You need to make up your mind. That's when you call forth the D style in you. Now, because the I is the dominant one, you allow the rest to, just sleep there. You allow them to be lazy. Now you need to activate each and every one of them because you need these styles to work for you at different intervals in your life. So it is the aspect of understanding and communicating so that there will be a balance. And when the balance comes in, the constructive nature will bring out the success the both party wants. Because at the end of the day, we all desire one thing, end result, wholeness, to achieve a purpose. But now that we are getting confused, we won't achieve it. But when we activate the other aspect of us, for example, a D should learn to activate the other styles so as to get into these people or whoever in the team, whoever he's working with in the team, or if it's the husband and the wife, whatever they're communicating about, so that they can both understand themselves. Because communication does not end until understanding is there and it gets to the end result. So the importance of you understanding yourself is key, very, very key. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So, one thing that I want to also, explain that, because when people be like, do I have to go look for a personality profiling before, I know my, partner? The answer could be yes, but the answer could also be that be a good observer, observe people rather than, forming an opinion about people. I could do anytime I do training, I always do a little test and say two truth and one lie, just look at me and that what I'm doing with that test is that I want to remove assumptions. When people do something, as much as possible, remove assumptions. Don't try to explain why you think they are behaving where they are behaving. Observe and ask questions. So we're going to talk about personality again now, talking about children, the children that we have. Why is it important for you to be able to know your children's personality in terms of parenting? Why I'm going to share the slide. And before we go on, please, if you have any questions, in the chat box, type your questions in, would help you out. One thing that I've come to realize a lot of times is that a lot of us do not know the personalities of our children. We kind of observe. And so you're trying to mold your child into somebody that they are not. One thing about personality is that it's good to understand your weakness, but as much as possible, the best is improve your strengths, right? The best is that you have your strength, own your strength while you're trying to improve your weakness. Because one thing about improving your weakness is that it doesn't boost your self-esteem. So for instance, if you are somebody that you are an I personality, and I know a lot of us know the team like personality of sanguine, melancholy, and all that. There's something beautiful about you. Own it first in the process of trying to build the things that you're not good of. Because for somebody that is very determined, let's use a leader, for someone that is a leader, that is most of the time, deep personalities are always leaders. They are always people that are, leaders. They take leadership roles very fast because they know what they want to do But we can all know that the leader needs somebody that is people oriented. The leader needs somebody that can see people. The leader needs someone that wants stability, because there has to be stability in all our projects. So as much as possible, when we are with our families, how do we help each other improve their strengths, although we are aware of their weakness, and we're also calling them to come up, then you can come up. But how do we let people, be confident in their predominant, because everybody has a predominant personality, right? So how do we go about that? And please ask questions in the chat box. We would share with you. Thanks. Mute them, Bolaji. Yes. I think you are still muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the question is how we can get to know our children's personalities, right?
Mm-hmm. And
All
then
right.
it's two questions to one. How can we know our children's personality? And also, how can we help them in their strengths, own their strengths while they are working on their weakness? Or, I don't want to call it weakness, while we are working on the places they need to improve on.
Okay, all right. Now, how can I know my child's personality? The first thing I would say is observation. Pay close attention to your child's behavior, your child's emotions, your child's interactions in different situations and contexts. That is one key thing you need to do. Try to notice their preferences, their strengths, their challenges. You need to be observant. Try to look closely. For example, I'll give an example of a friend. She said while she was growing, if she fails in school, her mom will beat her. Then if her younger one should fail, they won't beat him. One day she now had to ask her mom why. The mom said, because I know what you're made of. So obviously the mom had studied my friend. She studied her so well, and she was able to know that, no, this question is so easy. I know you know it. So what happened at that point? Now, at that point, how can we help that child? Is to try and find out what happened at that point. Were you distracted? Were you confused? Didn't you understand what you read, the questions you read? So now, when you observe is key. Then the second one I would say is engagement. Learn to engage your children. Spend quality time with them. In as much as it's just the same thing with your spouse. It's the same thing with your workers. So spending time with them, engaging, spending quality time is key. The other one is communication. Talk to your child about their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences. The funny thing about our children is that most times they tend to have funny feelings. They don't know the meaning. They eventually don't know the meaning of the feelings they have. And if this is not worked on, it affects them a long way. So by the time you are able to communicate with your children, listening to them, be a good listener, activate you being you're a C-wired person and you being an I-wired person. They tend to listen. They love to listen. They want to hear. Sorry, S and I. They love to listen because they want to understand. Activate that aspect of you. Even if you know it all, pretend as though you don't know it. And don't show too much of surprises when they're saying this. Oh, yeah, really? Yes, it's true. It happens. Oh, but when you're saying, you're sort of exclaiming in a funny way, it affects them. And the next thing they run back into their shell. Then after that, you could do some personality assessment. There are different ways. You could get some online. And if you really want to do, you could speak with Boonmy. She could, think you how you can get to understand the personality traits of your children or even yourself. Because this goes a long way to give you great well-being. Then reflect on developmental stages. At all times, make sure you're reflecting. Consider your child's developmental stage at every time and how it influences their behavior and personality. Because this is key. Toddlers may exhibit more impulsive behavior, while the older children may demonstrate increased independence and self-awareness. So there are different ways we could do. Then another one is keep an open mind. I said it the other time. Make sure your mind is open. Don't conclude on them when they are saying something. Just make sure you're open. And by combining all these approaches, one thing I want you to understand is that you will gain deep understanding of your child's personality and nurture their individuality in a very supportive way. And when you notice your child is a little confused or your child has this challenge or the other, what do you do next? You find out what's up, what's going on. Like I said the other time, you should learn to always ask questions. And in your asking questions, then we need to be careful as adults how we ask these younger ones questions. Because most times when you ask some questions, they're like, what's this person saying? Now you need to play into their world to ask questions the way the question, as in the way they would understand and they would hear what they're supposed to hear, so that they can give you the right answers to whatever question you're asking them. Mm-hmm. So in it all, having to understand your child's personality is a big thing for each and every one of them.
Thank you so much, Bolaji. It's been, I'm enjoying the conversations I'm having with you. So I know it. Two people have asked me, privately. So I'm just going to talk about the Dix. It's on the screen if you can see it. Let's just read it out so that we can have a bit of. Because two people have asked me that. So let me just read it out. But the best thing is to seek for a personality profiling, because this is just a broad definition. Everybody has a flavor. There's a flavor about everybody. Nobody, even though you are dominant, there's a level of your dominance. Everybody has a flavor because of your experience, your culture. So this is just a broad definition. But if you really want to understand, your personality, it's always good to do a personality profiling. And we are taking it home, couples with your children. And if you're a boss in an organization, it's always good to do personality profiling for your staff. At least it, let them know it. Share it, especially the lead, the team lead, and everyone. So dominance D are individuals with dominant styles. They tend to be assertive, decisive, and result-oriented. They are often seen as strong leaders who are willing to take charge and make tough decisions. They may prioritize achieving goals and overcoming challenges, sometimes at the expense of considering others' feelings. Influence, that's I. Individuals with an influential style are typically outgoing, enthusiastic, and persuasive. They excel in social situations and enjoy building relationships with others. They may be adept at motivating and inspiring people, often bringing energy and optimism to group settings. Steady. Individuals with a steady style are known for their patience, reliability, and cooperation. They value stability and harmony in their relationships and environments. They are often good listeners who prioritize building trust and fostering teamwork, preferring to avoid conflict whenever possible. And then the conscientious. Individuals with conscientious styles are detailed-oriented. They are analytical, systematic. They value accuracy and precision in their work and tend to follow rules and procedures meticulously. I'm so with meticulous because they are very meticulous. They may be seen as organized and dependable individuals who strive for excellence in their endeavors. I want to add to a lot of things Bolaji has said, and I would like if those that haven't signed in their sign so we can share these videos with you because it's good to listen to it over and over again. One thing that I want to stress in is that a lot of times our personalities are it's like a water flow that flows. Once you do your personality profiling, you will see that it flows. We can all be D here, but we can all not manifest the same characteristics because there's a fluid way we work, because of our environment, our upbringing, things we expose ourselves to. So it's always good to try and do your personality profiling, especially for families, couples and all that. So please share in your question. We're about to round up, and one thing that I want us to leave here is that let's go back to people right now. I know that there's a lot of issues about mental health, about self-care. How do I take care of myself now? What do I do to myself after? And I want you to narrow it. I want today, let's talk about personality a lot because I've come to see that if you want to get clarity, we can't give everybody everything today, but we start with your personality. So how can in self-care, how can we narrow it down to personality? How can we, somebody that is the way I want to phrase this is that the people that are S and I seem to suffer a lot with their personality traits because a lot of people misunderstand, because they always want stability and they always want peace. And so the D personality kind of overshadows them. I'm not saying to organize and they find out. Hope you could answer my hope you understand the question I was trying to ask. I could rephrase it again.
Yes, please, can you take the last? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So what I was saying is that with
the
personality,
I guess there was an interception.
Okay, yes, I realized that. So what I was saying is that with personality traits, some personalities seem to suffer than other personalities. So some personalities need a lot of self-care more, and it's just because of how they are made up, So how can we find self-care in ourselves? How can we get that care?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is self-awareness. Self-awareness. Okay. You need to know who you are, what value you carry, the traits you carry. Now, if I'm a D-wired person, I wouldn't get angry when people talk back at me. Why? Though in their nature, as a D-wired person, they will snap immediately because they don't take shit. Let me use that word. But if I have an understanding that I'm a D-wired person, I would activate the other traits. One thing I would always stress is this: know that you have all these traits in you. It's just that one is more prominent than the other. And you need to have that understanding. The next thing I would do is emotional regulation. Now, immediately something happens, what do? I try to link it up with something. I try to find out, okay, how I shouldn't just respond. Let me know why I'm responding that way. Have an understanding, and that's why communication is key. Please, why did you do that? How come that happened? Always ask one question or the other. The next one is social support. I have people I call as a person. There's this slogan we use as coaches. Even a coach needs a coach.
Yes.
Even a therapist needs a therapist. So I will the people I have around me is key. My safe space is key. And what do I mean? Safe space is different from a place you will call, okay, I just want to sit here and, you're contented. No. A safe place is a place whereby you're being told the truth. You're being encouraged that, okay, yes, this thing you have done is wrong. So Social support is another key thing I would encourage. Speak to people. Don't hide, don't keep it in there. One truth I will tell you, one hard truth I learned quite late, let me use the word late, is that this thing you're going through, you're not alone in it.
Oh, Bolaji,
You're not
the
the only
internet.
one going through it. You're not the first, and you will not be the last. The only thing is, how are you? Hello? Can anybody
Yes,
hear
we can
me?
hear you. We can hear you now. You froze a bit,
Okay.
but yeah, we
Uh-oh.
can hear you.
So sorry about that. So, like I was saying, you just need to know how you will link all this together. And when all these are linked, it takes you to a platform of balance, because balance is key. Balance is key. That's one thing I would always sit with. And when you have balance, you will be creative about how you live your life and how you sort things out around you. So these are the
Yeah.
key things I would
Thank
just
you.
say out. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. We have 4 minutes. Anybody have any questions? Please just type it in. But I want to paraphrase in what she said, because it's very important, about how can we get by. The whole idea is, how can we get by? One thing that she was talking about is, know your recovery styles. Every personality you have to know what helps you recover back or bounce back out of difficult situations, because we cannot predict difficult situations, but we can predict ourselves in difficult situations. So how do you bounce back? Some personalities, what they do is like, the I personality, they like to talk. So go and find someone that you can chat with. The deal might be that because a particular person that I was working with, his recovery style is actually to go run, do exercise, and then when he does that, but imagine if he's with his wife, or his partner, and then there's an issue, the person goes to do gym. We are thinking the person is not concerned, but the person is trying to recover and then come back, to talk to you. While some people just go watch movies or withdraw back. So it's good to know your recovery style. It's good to know your partner's recovery style, know your children's recovery style. And then she mentioned the thing about have people you can speak to, but I always put a caveat: have people that can help you, not add more to your issues. So in your circle, as much as possible, observe your circles. How have they helped you to resolve issues? You can observe and see. It's a set of people. When I was in university, I had friends that when I go to meet them, they are so passionate that they'll go and add more problem to you rather than help you out. So it's good, because they really like to. So they're so passionate. Let's and do it. But I realize, no, as passionate as we are, I want someone that has, the sense. So reach out to people, but please observe your community. Are there people that you can really reach out to? But make sure that you find somebody. We always say in this circle that a therapist needs a therapist, a coach needs a coach. We call ourselves out, and we call and we tell people, so many things. So thank you everyone for coming. I promise you it's going to be 60 minutes, 60 minutes. Thank you, Bolaji. Do you have your last, what you want to tell people, what you want to communicate before we leave?
Okay, what I would like to say is that emotional health or emotional well-being is dynamic. And I would like you all to do something. I call it DIDE, D-I-D-E. And
D-I-D-E.
D-E. And it's a Yoruba word. It means stand up to own your essence in life. Now, the D, yes, the D is discover who you are. The I is communicate with yourself, initiate a conversation with yourself and with the other person. The second D is develop. Now, from that, the communication you've had, the communication you've initiated with the person or with yourself, there are some things you're seeing in yourself that you need to develop. Then start. Then E, how? By embedding. Oh, okay, I need therapy here. Oh, I need a counselor. I need a therapist. I need someone that will communicate, as in just talk to me, tell me what is going on. I need to go for a training. I need to go for an awareness. So these are key things. So in everything you do, use this framework. Did they discover, initiate conversations with yourself, develop, and embed? And you'll see that life will come back to you in a good way. Thank you so much for having me. And there's something I love, one phrase I love to say: emotional well being is not a destination, it's a process. So you need to know it's a process. Enjoy the process. Don't think, oh, I have talked about someone has spoken to me, that's the solution. No, it's a process. You grow in it. Thank you so much, Olubumi, and everyone for having me around. And I'm really blessed to be here, and I hope you were blessed and you enjoyed yourself. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I really did too. And so please, for those that haven't filled the form, please fill the form, because this is annually, we're going to bring in more people. It's still going to be about healing and all that, but I'm going to take in different aspects and bring people in so we have rich conversations. One thing I want to leave us with is that be your best friend. What I used to tell people: be your own best friend. What you would do for somebody else. I know a lot of people, when somebody comes to meet you and be like, I have an issue, you would bring all your resources, for that person. Do the same thing for yourself. Be your best friend. Nourish yourself, help yourself, be patient with yourself, help yourself grow, because it is you. A lot of people don't like themselves. I always ask people, the thoughts you have in your mind, that you keep telling yourself every time, can you tell your best friend that thought? Like, if your best friend had an issue, the way you self-sabotage yourself, can you do that with somebody else? So as much as possible, be your best friend, be your best advocate, encourage yourself as much as possible. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you. Any questions before we leave? We have 2 minutes to leave. Yeah. Okay. In lieu of no questions, thank you everyone for coming. In 2 months' time, I'm sure we would have something to do. Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.